Hi Jake, it's Fancy, and I'm trying hard to think about if I were you, if I were in your shoes, how would I change this design to be more successful? So right now it's not quite working. You even seem to have more overallness in your gradations than you did before. So you see a lot of high value contrast where you have the different hues placed next to each other. So in here and here, um, let's see here. I'm not sure if like these places here you're trying to create interpenetration, but they're not working yet. So if I were you, how would I change this? One thing that was mentioned in the process of introducing the final project in the videos was that if you choose to work with, three or more colors, you need to choose one of them to be dominant, so to be more prominent in the design, and have the others be subordinate, so to be used less in the design, more as an accent color. And so I'm trying to look at yours with respect to that. I really love these magentas and oranges together. So I'm thinking that you've kind of set up this grid work. So this diagonal grid work, it's pretty equally divided, I think, in terms of spacing. You have this grid work that creates squares. So what I might do is I would say that within these squares there are points of emphasis. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of emphasis that we could possibly see here. And within those points of emphasis, maybe I would have them gradate away from themselves. Maybe I have kind of high contrast here in the corner, and I have them gradate from blues through greens. Or maybe because you kind of have more of an organic kind of gradation going on. So within these squares, or maybe here is my main point of emphasis. It contrasts with the blue. So maybe here it starts out with really high contrast, with the blue being placed next to the yellow or the orange, and then gradating to the orange. So go moving from high contrast yellow-orange to gradating through the chromatic grays and blending in with the orange pathway, maybe. I think this is a lovely area that's starting to form here. So that could be another way that you could approach it. So here you kind of have this grid that's gradating between this magenta pinkish color to orange. So you could kind of continue that gradation within the grid. And then here, where you have this section of the grid, you could have vanishing boundaries where the color that you choose to represent the point of emphasis kind of gradates from something that's similar in value to this orange. So here this pink is kind of similar in value. And so it creates kind of a soft boundary, and it gradates away from itself. You really need to get the gradations kind of under control and the structure under control, the structure of the design as a whole. Here you kind of have this purplish pink area of the grid. Maybe you could start out with kind of this beautiful green that's similar in value to this, and kind of have it gradate away from itself. Now, once you get the grid structure and the gradations under control, then you can go in and you can add additional visual interest. You could break up the grid as you have here with these little interpenetrating triangles. But right now they're too small and too many. And so they're not going to create a visual impact. You're not going to say, oh, look, there's an anomaly to that grid. There's a place where it changes. and therefore there's so many that they're not going to be grouped as the eye, or they're not going to be seen as a similarity grouping. There's just too much going on. Also, here, if you're trying to add, interpenetrations into these areas, you have a lot of them right now, and they're all different shapes and sizes. There is no similarity to them, so you need to think about that as well. All right? Think of setting this up in a grid. Think of gradations within each section of that grid. Gradations that gradate very smoothly, maybe from one color to the other. Think about whether you want high contrast, or maybe as the gradations move away from the grid, sometimes it's high contrast, sometimes it's low contrast. See what you come up with. Make sure the grid is always the same width. Consistent. Right now this is narrow, this is thick, this is thicker, this is narrower. This is all chopped up. This is practically degraded. So start to think about that. You still have work to do, so I know you can do it.